welcome back to Holy Babble, where I express my thoughts on culture, religious doctrine, and things that are taught to us from church that might seem more as babble than Bible. And today, the topic is 5 things that make you say, not amen, but when you're little and you're first told these stories, and of course when you're a kid, it might take your mind a while to you're not quite mature enough to quite always wrap your mind around these stories, but still, you still have some sense, right? And your teacher has that look at like, don't ask me a whole bunch of questions now. You know I can't answer all these questions. Just do that bobblehead move and just pretend like you know what I'm talking about. Just ask your parents all them questions when you get home, but don't be asking me all that. But I remember when we first heard about Jesus, coming down, living amongst the people and performing miracles, teaching the word and all that kind of thing, and how he healed people, came down to the water or whatnot. He healed them of leprosy, of blindness, but he didn't heal everybody, or even stranger, he didn't cure leprosy or cure blindness. People are still blind to this day. Stevie Wonder, who was the other guy? I forgot. Ray Charles, they're still blind. Not that they can't still, be productive people, but so I imagine if he comes down to the water, he heals 2 people. And his publicist is standing next to him and say, okay, folks, thanks for coming down. That's enough for today. Thanks for coming to see us and I hope you enjoyed the show. And you're the third person in line. You're like, oh, what do you mean he's done? He only killed 2 people. You didn't know how far I walked to get here. I walked like 3 weeks to get here. You're done. And so just imagine how no more autographs. The healing's done for the day. And you're like, no way. But he doesn't really. You never hear how Jesus or they say anything like, listen, I left you the tools, the herbs, everything to help heal yourself, so you can heal yourself. I left you all the tools you need, to learn how to heal yourself. But he didn't tell you that, don't worry. There are people who are doctors and nurses who will help, who help you do self-help, or they can help you heal yourself. There's none of that. I guess that came later on, but it would have been nice just to say, okay, just because I'm not here to heal you doesn't mean you don't have the knowledge to heal yourself. But you just can't imagine 2 people. But you imagine that people saying, God, you need this rest, and you're like, come on now. So we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. And they're like, listen, we'll scroll you. Don't scroll us, okay? But, some people had to be kind of maybe a little disappointed, maybe even upset, that, yeah, it's great to heal some people, but what about the rest of us, But just to show, yes, I am God, I have magical powers, and I remember thinking about that. But the closest thing we, in a way, and this might be controversial, I'm sure, but really the closest thing we have to God is our doctors and nurses. They can cure, they can replace your eyeball and your heart and a lot of stuff they can do. Now, of course, you can say, well, God gave me the powers to do that, but, yes and no, otherwise he wouldn't say that back then. Hey, I will provide you. But that's maybe what eating the apple of the tree gave us the knowledge to figure certain things out, that we would not have needed to figure out had we not ate the apple, perhaps, right? I just thought about that, right? And also, that he was here to heal the sick and, take care of the poor, but people are still poor, and people still sick, people still are blind. Sometimes you kind of don't quite understand that, right? But, God, he gave us life, he was tortured on the cross and all that, and this is going to be controversial, but hey, I guess that's who I am right now, and yet none of us gave our life for the world's sins. But I can guarantee there's some slaves who went through a lot worse death than Jesus. Okay? And people sit there just crying over Jesus, this, and that. Yet they still won't act right, even though they claim to love the Lord. But there are some gay folks who have been tortured. There's some devils who have been dragged in the back of a truck for hours, who have had their genitals cut off, mutilated, whipped, tortured. Way worse than Jesus. They just put them up in the thing and let them slowly rot. But there are people who have even died, not quite upon the cross, but have been allowed to die a slow, terrible death. People who, Jeffrey Dahmer, at least I think he drugged his people. They were, I guess, to be fortunate for that. They at least got drugged where he ate their hearts and lungs. But there's a lot of folks who died way worse death than that. But on the other side, look at Martin Luther King. He gave his life. He may not have said, hey, I'm here to give my body. I'm going to get killed. This is going to happen. He may even say like that. But still, after his death, laws were passed and civil rights bills got passed in a way you could and people kind of say he's kind of like a Jesus, because he came to fight for the people and for civil rights, equal rights. And in the end, what was the benefit? We got civil rights laws passed and plenty of things changed because he kind of, in a way, sacrificed himself the same way Jesus has, right? And so, but anyway, I always think about that with different people who have done things for us. And the second part, here's number 2 of this list of 5 things, I think it's 5 or 6, is the ramifications of eating from the tree of knowledge. Had we not eaten from the tree of knowledge, maybe we truly would have stayed childlike. Think about this. In a childlike state where the umbilical cord from God is never cut, and for eternity, then he truly would have maybe kept us safe then, right? Because after all, would have kept us safe from all harm if there ever would have even been any harm, right? Kept us fed and in good health. We truly would have no worries, right? People say, no worries, right? Even when they mess something up in your order, they go, no worries. I'm like, no, there's some worries. You didn't even do the thing right while you said no worries. But but no problems at all, right? In a way, eating from the tree was a way of severing the umbilical cord from God, right? That it makes us more independent now. We were now more independent. Now we ate from the tree of knowledge. We know things maybe we weren't supposed to know it, but it's too late. We know it now, right? So we became in a way independent of him. And we kind of learned to think for ourselves, to do for ourselves. Able-bodied people, right? And inviting Satan, but when we invited Satan to our lives, that changed. That Satan had the so, but we invited Satan to our life. I think that kind of just changed how we as human beings. Obviously it did, but still, I don't think we quite grasp how eating that apple changed not only our relationship with God, but just how we went through the world. A little bit different. So it's kind of like, in the way Satan has a baton of it. At the same time, how did Satan get into the garden? Was he invited? Did he sneak into the garden? Because to me, I always wonder, if God knows everything, how does he not know Satan's not in the garden? Did he invite Satan to that garden to see if the Adam and Eve would fall for his lies? He wanted to give them a choice to see if they would say yes or no. But I just wonder that's a choice too. You think about God. Who invited Satan to get there? How do you allow Satan to the garden? Unless it was on purpose, right? Anyway, but after everything wouldn't be handled after we ate the apple. Everything would not be handed to us with a red bow around it, right? But we would have to work for it or create it, ourselves. But that's just something to kind of think about on that. But just talk about choices. Here's the third thing on my list: Mary and Joseph get punked. That's how I see they got punked. As far as we know, Mary and Joseph were living a normal life. They would just mind their own business. They weren't bothering nobody. Then God chooses to implant the seed of, baby Jesus, baby J, right? So as I got older, I always wish, why couldn't God have planted Joseph with some kind of holy sperm, right? That put some kind of lust or renewed love for Mary in his heart again, right? And that renewed love, along with the implant, will produce baby Jesus, right? Wouldn't that have been just a little bit more sweeter, right? Instead, it makes Mary seem like she was maybe an adulteress or just kind of crazy, saying, a light came unto me in the middle of the night. I don't know if I remember, there was a movie called Agnes of God back in the 80s about, I think it had Meg Tilly in it, and where she's a nun, and she's super, of course, like most nuns, very dedicated to what she does. And one day, a light comes, really it was somebody opening the door, and she was in a pitch black room, the door opened, it was bright light, and she really actually got assaulted, but in her mind, she was so, into the Jesus thing, she said, no, it was Jesus, it was God, something coming unto me. And then I think she went kind of crazy or something like that. I haven't seen the movie since like 1985 as a little girl. I probably shouldn't have watched it then. But anyway, it's a very interesting movie where she believes it was really like the Mary scenario, a light coming unto her. But I'm going to stop right here because I know I don't want to have to cut my video, edit here, and that's a little more complicated. So I'm going to stop and continue on part 2. Thank you.